Well, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today is June 18th, and while that may not mean anything to you, what it means to me is that this is the 2-year anniversary of the channel. For 2 years, I have done my best to bring you guys interesting knives in an interesting way. I have had the absolute pleasure and joy of making friends with a ton of people in the knife community this way. I have had opportunity to look at some really interesting knives. This is the first knife that I ever showed on the channel. I still have it. Today we're going to review this, but you're going to want to stick around because I'm going to do a giveaway at the end. I'll tell you how to win at that point. So we're going to start with a full review of this knife, and then we'll get to the giveaway. So you're just going to have to bear with me. Hang in there. We'll do it. First, this is not the original mat. That one is actually missing, but this is as close as I could come. This is a little more familiar at this point, I'm sure. So, this is the ZT-0920. This is a discontinued model. That is an absolute crying shame. I have had close to 1,000 knives come across this table and across definitely through my collection. This basic factory knife from ZT remains the knife that I use to determine how good many of those knives are. There is micro milling on these all titanium scales. They are rounded and comfortable in hand. It's got two really interesting barrel spacers back here. I of course put a deep carry clip on it because that's what I do. The blade is CPM 20CV, and it is, well, just very interesting to look at and use. It has a little tiny bit of a recurve. It's got this great spot for your thumb. It is nice and thick at the tip and yet remains pointy just in case. That ZT discontinued this knife is criminal as far as I'm concerned. Now these were about 280 bucks when they were new, 260, 280, something like that. They absolutely need to bring this back. They do. It is one of the nicest knives I own. Certainly the most fun to carry, most fun to use, and the action on this knife sets the tone for all of my other production knives. Now I have some customs and some other stuff that are different, maybe not better, because this thing is just perfect. When you release the lock bar, which is locked up at about 40%, so I will have this knife for a nice long time going forward. It comes loose with no lock stick, no problem. Drop it past the detent just a little bit, and then it just swings closed. It doesn't slam closed. It just gracefully closes. It is, well, it's just fantastic. Now, Les George designs great knives, but this, as far as I can tell, is the big boy of the group. I have a couple of other Les George design knives that are a little smaller. This one, of course, fits my hand perfectly. If I'd have gotten this knife, I say this about knives periodically, if I'd have gotten this knife before all my other ones, I may not have collected more knives. This thing is astonishing. It really is. It's also dirty because I carry it a lot. It is running on bearings. As I said, it is all titanium. The standard clip is not deep carry, but you go to MXG Clip and for 30 bucks you can throw yourself a really nice deep carry clip on here that matches the finish on the scales. The blade is, as I mentioned a minute ago, just a thing of beauty. It is not so weird or overtly complex as to not be a great daily user, and yet it maintains a real sense of style. I have a lot of knives that I don't want to get rid of. I have a few that I will never get rid of. And the ZT-0920 is one of the knives that I will never get rid of. Because A, they don't make it anymore. And B, I've yet to come across a factory knife that I truthfully like better. It has a lanyard hole back here if you're into that sort of thing. The pivot on this thing is just pretty. It is blacked out, right? Nice and big on this side. Simple, straightforward screw on this side. It has the steel lock bar insert on this side, which is blacked out. All of the other hardware is blacked out. The only pop of color, usually it comes with an anodized clip that matches these barrel spacers. The barrel spacers themselves are not plain. If you look in there, they have style. You know, ZT has a history of making some of my favorite knives. But that was all many years ago now. Unfortunately, ZT's newer stuff, with the exception of the ZT-0308, which is not on the table at this moment, they just haven't really done anything that excites me in a long time. Maybe this is why. I know what they can do when they want to. In a world full of high-end steel and frame-lock knives, this one stands out, and it really bums me out that it is no longer available. I love this thing. I love it enough that it was the first knife I showed on the channel because I thought it was interesting looking. I love it enough that as I have moved and sold hundreds of knives over the last couple of years, this one never even crossed my mind to move along. And it won't. So let's get the basic specs out. Now, are they impossible to find? No. In fact, just before the discontinue, they released some of these in USA-made blades with blacked out blades and blue scales and various other options. Those, and even this one, do appear on the secondary market. They're still about $250 used. If you want one, go get one because they are going to get harder and harder to find. So let's get the basic specs out of the way. This big old beautiful beast is 9 inches overall. The blade is just at 3 3/4 of cutting on just a little under 4, so like 3.8 inches, 3.7 inches overall of CPM 20 CV. The grip area from behind the flipper tab is 3.8 inches to this little nub right here. So almost 4 inches. As you can see, I have a little tiny bit left over for my giant hands, which is really nice. The shape of the handle, as I've said a couple of times, just lends itself to comfortable use. I have cut hours and hours of cardboard and other stuff up with this knife, and the CPM 20 CV blade has never even shown a hint of trouble. I've even banged it against a couple of staples. Right up here at the tip, there is a little tiny mark in the blade, but I've never even bothered to sharpen it out because standard sharpening has kept this thing so sharp. And again, I have a rod system which allows me to sharpen through the little bit of recurve here without an issue. It's not a razor blade, but it does come down to a very nice edge. Closed. Oh, that action. Oh my God. We're at about, what, 5 inches? Yep. Just a hair over 5 inches closed. The in-the-pocket profile is pretty nice, right? We're looking at about, what are we, 1.5 inches? Yeah, a little over 1.5 inches at its widest point. Flipper tab is not small, but it is chamfered. I mean, it's got jimping on it right where you want it. But it is chamfered in such a way that there's no sharp edges, right? But you know you're carrying a big knife. The jimping on the blade is grippy without being sharp. So you can see it is nicely rounded, but it gives you something to grip on if you want to hold the knife back here. If you come forward, there's just a ton of spot to land your thumb. It's actually very comfortable in the reverse hammer grip too, although you don't need to do that, of course. This is just one of those knives that is just a pleasure to work with, a pleasure to carry, and a pleasure to use, and they made it go away. Now, I assume it's because, who knows why. But man, I'm not kidding when I say I wish they'd bring this thing back. Let's do some size comparisons. Here it is against the Benchmade Presidio 2. As you can see, it is longer in the Presidio 2, and you get a little more cutting edge on the blade. And of course, the blade is a much nicer steel. For a small to mid knife, here it is against the Osborne. This is the 943. We'll line up those pivots. As you can see, it is considerably bigger than that. And of course, then we'll do the bug out. Right? So it is a big, big knife, which I really enjoy. And, you know, if you're looking for this kind of knife, you would too. The blade stock is fantastic. As I said, it is CPM 20 CV. Let's zero that out. That'd be good. We are 157, almost 158 thousandths, which is just shy of 4 millimeters. There's a little bit of flat through here and this beautiful swedge, of course, at the top. But because they've done this so high, it does come down, as I said, to a nice edge. It is not a razor blade, but it is a good cutter. Now let's weigh it out. .5 ounces. Well, let's see. By way of comparison, we're talking about a ½ ounce heavier than the full-size Presidio 2. This is one of my all-time absolute favorite pocket knives. I've never met anybody who had one who didn't love it, honestly. So ZT, if you're listening, and of course you are, because why wouldn't you listen to a small channel out in the middle of nowhere, YouTube land, make this again, or just keep making it, or change the blade steel, or do whatever you've got to do to make it interesting to you and the company, but bring back the ZT 0920. Please. It would be, well, based on some of the knives you've released lately, this would be absolutely the right move. All right. So now that you have tolerated my review of this now old but exceptionally awesome knife, let's talk giveaway. What am I going to give away? Well, first I got a swag pack. And it involves some of your and my favorites. Knives Fast, Neves Knives, Shadowborn Hanks, one of my favorite from Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Grateful Panic, OCD for EDC, Zach's stuff, some Damn Design swag, Hilltop Knives and Gear. If you guys aren't going to all these channels and Instagrams, you absolutely should. Finch Knife, which is fun. A couple from JB over at Big Red EDC, his Saturday Knife Live, and a Big Red EDC sticker. A bumper sticker size sticker from my buddy over at Jimmy Slash. If you guys are not subscribed to Jimmy Slash, you got to go do that. And that's what we're going to end with. So there's first. You get this marvelous swag pack. Next, a carbon fiber wallet from Southern Edge Knife Works. This is just a card wallet, but it does have a money clip on the back. This thing is great. I carry a traditional wallet, so it doesn't really work for me, but this is very cool. We're going to throw in a Dorsey flashlight. I've given a couple of these away, and this one is, it's very bright, works very well, even comes with batteries. It's a nice touch, so you're going to get yourself a flashlight. This came to me by way of Scott Big Bore Williams, and unfortunately, Scott, I don't have any more of your stickers. I'm so sorry. And the final giveaway came from Scott as well. This is a custom Pearson fixed blade. This is in Nitro V. It is very comfortable. It is beautiful to look at. It says Pearson right there on the blade. Nice dark stone wash, great jimping. This is a perfect EDC-sized fixed blade. Comes with a very nice sheath, set up for scout carry, but because of the way these holes are spaced, you can put a standard clip on there if you want. So, my loyal viewers, what do you have to do to win? Oh, and you'll be getting Women Carry Knives stickers in mine as well in the swag pack. What do you have to do to win? All you have to do is comment on this video and say anniversary somewhere in your comment. It has been a phenomenal 2 years. I am so happy to be sharing my channel and my experiences and some of my ups and downs with you amazing folks out there in YouTube land. I'm looking forward to another 2 and another 4 and another hopefully 10 years of sharing knives and whatever else crosses my table or crosses my mind with you guys out there. So, in order to win, simply comment on this video. Use the word anniversary somewhere in the comment that you make. And in about a week, today is the 18th. Excuse me, the 18th. And so, towards the end of the 23rd, 24th, something like that, I will do a live draw, and someone will win this amazing Pearson custom fixed blade, this flashlight, the card wallet, and of course, stickers from all of your favorite channels. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me for 2 years. Some of you have been along the entire time, and I really appreciate that. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.